Hello and welcome to the AI Today podcast. I'm your host, Kathleen Mulch.
And I'm your host, Ron Schmelzer. And, one of the interesting things we keep talking about generative AI is as if it's the only subject in AI. But of course, we've been talking about AI since 2017 here, just on the AI Today podcast. And, well, AI goes back to the 1950s, and we definitely didn't have generative AI in those first few waves and the all those AI winters. But because for so many people, generative AI and prompt engineering and that whole space with large language models is their entry point to AI, that this is the place where a lot of folks get started with AI. And I think it's important to understand how to really make the most out of generative AI, because I think for most people, the way that AI is going to impact their lives and their jobs is going to be first and foremost through many of these tools that are accessible to everybody these days.
Exactly. And Ron and I have been doing a lot of speaking recently. We've been speaking at a number of different sessions, including a lot of PMI events and speaking to project managers. And there's still a lot of fear when it comes to using, large language models. And so that's why we thought it was so important to have this prompt engineering best practice series on our podcast so that we could talk about it, really outline it in the way that we do at AI Today and how we explain things. And so for today's podcast, we wanted to talk about the soft skills of prompt engineering because, we've mentioned earlier that there really is no downside to testing and trying different prompts and really getting in there and using it and playing with it. Because at the end of the day, it's just for you. Nobody else is going to be seeing this. You don't need to be getting help from others to run or have utilization, with utilizing different things at your organization. So it really is important to understand like this is for you and don't be scared, embrace it. And you can move forward with this. And we always say, think big, start small, and iterate often. So continue to iterate on your prompts as well and continue to iterate and feel comfortable. You're not going to be excellent at first, and that's okay. Everybody's learning. We always talk about how this is a journey. But soft skills are becoming incredibly important because, generative AI really is accessible to the masses now. And almost anybody, who has access to a computer, you don't even need to pay for an account to use many of these large language models. Yes, you can to get premium access, but to get, basic access, you don't. So the great thing about generative AI is that it really doesn't require those hard skills that you think of, like programming or math or analytics skills, maybe database or data engineering skills that other parts of AI and technology do. It just requires us to be able to talk, right? And, be able to type. So there's a lot of benefits that can come from this. You don't need to have classes in statistics and probability or calculus or linear algebra. You don't need to have a computer science degree. You don't need to be, a data scientist. So this means that now a lot of people can do it. But with this, because you don't need those, necessary hard skills, you need to have soft skills. And so what do we mean by soft skills and why are they so important? Well, soft skills are things like communication and planning, creativity, maybe interaction with others, how your communication skills. So these soft skills really are becoming so incredibly important when it comes to effective prompting. And these are things that, some people have and that you can develop. But as we talk to a lot of project managers and people in this role, we continue to see, why soft skills are so important.
Yeah. But sort of before we dive into those soft skills and just kind of go through them, I want to explain something really important here. And that is that when we are communicating with an LLM, we're communicating. Actually, it's the exact word that we're using. We're writing prompts, which is the art of communication. It's not the art of programming. As Kathleen was mentioning, traditionally, what we had needed to do to get value out of an AI system is we had to build models and we had to use the models specifically in the way that we built them. So you might think that, well, we have computer vision and we have recognition systems. They seem to be pretty accessible. But the truth is that the average person really could not work with the average image recognition model. I can't just give it to a secretary or to an average person or a project manager even and say, hey, here's an image recognition system. Go use the model. They'd be like, well, how do I do it? Like, well, you need to go load your Python library and then you need to take the image. You need to make sure it's exactly 256 by 256 and normalize it. Then you basically, apply it to the model.